Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. St. Lucia's Prime Minister warns citizens of sensationalizing crime for political reasons, which can impact the national economy. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 23rd March 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. St. Lucia's Prime Minister and Minister of National Security fears that the manner in which St. Lucia is being portrayed in the media and on social media could seriously affect the local tourism industry. He has therefore warned against the sensationalizing of incidents pertaining to crime which continue to plague the island. Jason Darius of the DBS News World reports.
There continues to be growing concern among the St. Lucian populace as to how the current influx of crime stands to impact the island's economy. St. Lucia's main economic driver is tourism, and according to Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre, the depictions of crime and violent behavior perpetuated on the island and being broadcast through various forms of media do more harm than good, significantly diminishing St. Lucia's tourism product. The Prime Minister urges St. Lucians to desist from the sensationalism associated with criminal events.
It's very important that we did it this summer, but it's very important that we deal with the perception, Lucia's perception, and this is why we cannot declare a state of emergency, and this is why we cannot afford sensationalism as far as the crime situation is concerned. We cannot be sensational about it. The sensation might sound very nice. The sensation might cause me to pay a political price, but the sensation is not the best for St. Lucia in this situation. We have to be mature, we have to be reasoned, we have to get the facts, but we have to understand that the economy of St. Lucia, not the economy of Philip J. Pierre, or the economy of the leader of the opposition, the economy of St. Lucia needs to be protected, and being sensational or trying to get cheap political shots does not help in that situation.
President of the St. Lucia Craft and Dry Goods Vendors Association, Peter Ross Isaac, shares in the sentiments of the Prime Minister. He indicates that with the advent of globalization, visitors to St. Lucia's shores are aptly aware of the dangers that exist with the current crime wave.
Cruise companies such as Norwegian, they one time left St. Lucia for less than what is going on now. And now we have a situation where 7 and 8 people die in a matter of hours in the country. We are now thinking about, this concentration of escalation, and we're passing all these laws and so on to give people extra powers, and they could use it and probably even abuse it, and so on. And then, but it didn't stop. It has not stopped the uprising crime in the country. It has moved from the south into the north area, and now a lot of shootings are happening. And I'm just saying that the industry that we depend upon, almost solely upon right now, must be affected by that. Because when people, and now these days, people don't even want to disembark from these ships because they are hearing what is going on in St. Lucia. It's not any secret. Don't matter how the government try to suppress the news. It must go out there. People have it on social media, and these things go all around the world.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has revealed that the Tourism Ministry is hard at work securing more airlift from various source destinations, while the government continues its robust crime-fighting mechanisms to de-escalate St. Lucia's current upsurge in crime. For the DBS News World, Jason Darius reporting.
A senior counsel and former president of the Trinidad and Tobago Law Association believes that the sooner the Chief Justice and the Director of Public Prosecutions meet and work out their issues, the faster the country can move on. Senior counsel Douglas Mendez was speaking on TV6's Morning Edition and Nicole M. Romani reports.
In a statement made public over the weekend, Chief Justice Ivor Archie accused the DPP of causing what is being described as a crisis in the office of the DPP. He further suggested that the impact on the criminal justice system is to a great degree due to the lack of cooperation and action from DPP Roger Gaspard. This after Mr. Gaspard called for more staff at the office of the DPP, saying that the justice system was on the brink of collapse. On Monday, Mendes Senior Counsel said it's time to find a way to resolve this situation.
My point is that we have gotten to the stage where the problem has been identified in the public arena, but it is time to find solutions to the problem. And the best way to go about doing that is to go behind closed doors, seek out the solutions, of course, report to the public eventually as to what is going to be done in order to solve these problems, because people are entitled to know as well what these office holders are doing to solve this very serious problem.
He said the issue of understaffing is not new and revealed that when he was president of the Law Association, there was also a public spat between the Chief Justice and DPP, more or less about the same thing.
The Law Association at that point in time privately, I suppose this is the first time that I'm revealing this, privately had discussions with the director about what the problems were. The intention was to have discussions with all the office holders. But in those discussions with the DPP, we were informed that there had been a tripartite, well, more than tri, there were other stakeholders involved in discussions that were held on a regular basis, and the Chief Justice mentioned it in his statement.
He also weighed in on the controversial issue of a still vacant building rented by the state for millions of dollars to house the DPP's office in Port of Spain. The building, which now has bulletproof glass, has been reportedly ruled unsafe by the police special branch. According to Senior Counsel Mendes, there must be some accountability. He questions, is it its location? Is the building exposed to persons with high-powered rifles?
We certainly need to know that, because a lot of money has been spent retrofitting the building in order, presumably, to deal with the security concerns. But we also need to know what is the up-to-date security assessment after all of these years. What is the real level of the risk, and what other measures can be put into place to deal with that?
He says the problem is not hard to remedy.
If it is that we can't move forward with that bill, then get another one. I'm just surprised that it has taken 2 years and a solution has not been found. I'm just concerned that all that time has passed and a decision has not been made either to abandon it altogether or to do what is necessary to ensure that staff moves in.
Nicole M. Romney, TV6 News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
It is likely that the DPP of Trinidad and Tobago will be crushed, says former Prime Minister Basdeo Panday. Mr. Panday attended the inauguration of the President, Christine Kangaloo, and spoke with the media after the formalities were over. Ovashitawari Rupnarayan of TV6 News has this report.
Former Prime Minister Basdeo Panday was asked by reporters to weigh in on the public spat surrounding the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Fielding questions from the media following the inauguration of the country's 7th President, Christine Kangaloo, Panday says the dispute has surfaced because of a weakness of the Constitution, which does not facilitate, according to him, the separation of powers.
Right now, the Constitution allows for it to be mangled together, and therefore, we're bound to have trouble for the rest of our lives.
Admitting to having no dispute with his DPP during his term as Prime Minister, Panday was asked how he sees the ongoing controversy playing out.
There is obviously pressure being put upon him, which would not have been possible had there been the separation of powers of which I speak. I believe the political powers can crush him, and probably will crush him, which is going to be no benefit to this country.
Citing the Constitution in its current form as irrelevant, Pandey says the only answer is reform.
I don't think anybody can accuse the DPP of corruption. It has now to do with buildings, has to do with staff. Who supplies building? Who supplies staff?
He did not take lightly to our submission.
Some may say that, you are sympathizing with the DPP because, he was the one who would have made the decision to let you.
I haven't said anything about the DPP. What gives you the impression that I said anything that sympathizes with him?
On March 6, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Roger Gaspard, withdrew the decades-old corruption case involving the Piarco International Airport, citing a low chance of conviction. The case involved a £25,000 bribe allegedly paid to Pandey and his wife Oma, allegedly by Carlos John and Ishwar Kalparansing. Urvashi Tawari Rubnarain, TV6 News.
A former planning minister in the meantime, Dr. Boterari, says following the collapse of U.S. banks' system, there is some need for concern locally in Trinidad and Tobago and within the region. He says there are important meetings to be had. Nicole M. Romani of TV6 News filed this report.
There are concerns that the banking troubles in the United States of America may impact this country's operations. According to the BBC, 2 U.S. banks had already gone under this month, Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, both catering largely to the tech sector. While those are the biggest bank failures in the U.S. since 2008, neither was anywhere near the size of Credit Suisse. There have since been reports that Wall Street and other banks have been bouncing back. However, Dr. Tiwari tells TV6 that while it appears the issue can be contained, persons need to monitor the situation.
I think what everybody has to watch wherever they live, whether they live in the United States, in Switzerland, in Europe, or in Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean and Latin America, I think we have to watch what happens to the confidence level in the various major banking and financial centers and how that affects behavior, economic and financial behavior, and ultimately how that affects the capacity for contagion, etc.
Dr. Tiwari believes that important talks are required among local stakeholders.
I think the governor of the central bank here should perhaps meet with the leaders of the banking sector here to find out what is happening, how they feel, and whether they feel exposed or threatened at all, and basically to have a sense of what is the temperature in our financial system.
The former planning minister warns that this country should examine itself and see what is required to change the way we approach banking and the financial sector.
Because make no mistake about it, the end result of what is happening here in the United States and globally is going to be a restructuring and remodeling of the banking sector.
Doctor,
you're going to have large, very powerful banks. You're going to have mergers and acquisitions.
Nicole M. Romani, TV6 News.
Former Oban manager Peter Krieger faces charges from the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. More in this ZNS News item.
Former manager of Florida-based Oban Energies, Peter Krieger, was last week charged by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission for misappropriating approximately $5.2 million of investor funds for his personal use, including to purchase luxury cars and jewelry. You may remember the company developed an oil refinery and storage facility in Grand Bahama. The commission's complaint alleges that from at least January 2017 through through August 2020, Kreger used his exclusive access to Oban's bank account to direct investor funds to two unrelated entities he controlled, either directly or through a third party. To resolve the Commission's charges, Kreger agreed to a judgment that permanently enjoins him from future violations of these provisions of the federal securities laws and includes a permanent conduct-based injunction, bars him from serving as an officer or director of a public company, and orders him to pay disgorgement, prejudgment interest, and civil penalties in amounts to be determined by the court upon future motion of the Commission.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.